All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Thursday, October 26, 2023. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. Glad to be with you. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start around the horn this morning. Dow futures up about 10 points, a little bit of a bounce on the strong GDP number. NASDAQ down about 74 points, down 0.51%. That's a lot of that is Meta. S&P down about 0.27% at 4198. We also have the Russell up 0.19%. Russell's been being down lately, 1664. 4.917 on a 10-year. And that 5% level seems to be that resistance for now. TNX, the 10-year Treasury yield, this is the way we spot it. That has not broken 5, by the way, at least in the chart I have. Dollar this morning, 106.66, up 0.12%. The VIX is at 20.80. That's up 3% this morning. Good morning, Olivia. Crude oil is down 2.33% this morning. I wanted to short yesterday. I did not, thankfully, because we got that bounce off of inventories. But again, I'll be watching that rather closely. Gasoline futures, $2.24. That's down 1.61%. Gold rejecting 2,000 now at 1988. Silver futures, $22.90, down 0.44%. Copper futures up 0.24%, $3.59. Euro dollars down 16 pips, 105.48. Dollar yen, which I want to talk about today, 150.21. That is red today. The dollar Canadian dollar 138.14. Remember we had the Canadian Bank of Canada yesterday did not raise rates, so you can see the Canadian dollar kind of down. 138.14. Pound dollar up 19 pips, 121.26. Bitcoin is red on the futures side, 1.46% at 34,330, with Ethereum up 1.73% at 1825 this morning. Glad to be with you. Let's go over dollar yen. Nick already had talked about this on the Forex signal group, and again, I want to go over this for those who are watching from the server. So we're taking a look here at the daily. We have our Fibonacci's. We got our moving averages. Other than that, we got a couple of lines on the screen. Big deal, right? So let's go ahead and remove them. I left this one here because that was the triple top that finally broke, and you got the retest and the pop. Yes. Looking at it here, the top that we had was last October. Rather convenient. And what did we get to? 151.93. I was watching a video last night, and it was a video of me. October 15th, 2022. If you guys are subscribers, please go back to our videos and take a look at October 15th, 2022, where we talked about the market when it was right around 3,600. Very similar things that we talked about then that we talk about now. It's just the way it goes. Last October, here's where we were, and then what happened? This October is where we are. What happens? I like it short here. We need to break 150. If you can break below 150, you know, the intervention level for the Bank of Japan, I like it short. I like my first target at 148.15. My second target would be 145.24. You need to be patient with this one because it's not going to be just one shot down. It's going to be chop, bounce here and there. We've done euro dollar short before. We held that for like 2 weeks. Got to be patient. So let's see if we get 20 pips out of it. I like the risk reward here. Defined risk would be 151.93 to 152 would be the stop. I say 152 being the stop. If we break above it, so be it. Okay, then we could play long, worst case. But we're getting a little stretched here, a little overbought. Fear gets a little stretched, just like greed, one side or another. So again, I really like dollar yen today for a short if we can get it. AMD, we did play yesterday. We played the 97 puts. Was it the 97 puts? Let's see. I still have a runner on it. It was a 97 puts. We got 35%, and the only reason I went ahead and closed it, I got to 40, and I closed the majority of it. I left 1, and the only reason I closed it is because if you guys remember Microsoft and all these names where we got to 30% and we held on because the chart looked so great and we reversed. But again, what happened? AMD continued to fall. We got as high as 122% in the money. So far this week, excellent work. The month is almost over. Tuesday is already Halloween, so I really want to see if I can push a little more, just kind of squeeze that juice for you guys and see if we can get a couple of more trades on the books so we can have a very nice October relative to this chop that we had. In terms of AMD, 94.50 is your next support. If we break above 99.42, that's what we're looking for. I expect a dead cat bounce, at least for now. I say dead cat because we could probably roll over on Friday. And let's take a look at the S&P 500. We're now at 4,200. So let's go ahead and take a look at the roadmap together. Remember, this is zone of support. Well, we'll leave that there. But here's the big one here, that 50% retrace from top to bottom, kind of the top half. We've been the top half of the market really since May. And get a big retest of that. Does that defend? That's the question. We are below the 200, and I said just kind of escape October above the 200. But there's one big piece right here, your 100-week moving average. If you can hold that by close, I think we're going to be fine. I really do. If we close below there and we get to the 50% retrace and we break below, then you know where we're going to go, guys. It's going to be 39.41. I have no problem shorting. I'll eat my hat and say I'm wrong. And again, guys, I'm wrong a lot, so it's nothing new to me. But they still think that we're going to bounce. Right now, sentiment is horrific. Everyone is terrified. Everyone is scared the world's over. Very similar to last year. When it's time to buy, you will not want to. That's just how it goes. Do you guys remember 3,500 S&P on October 10th? Did you want to buy stocks then? More likely you didn't, because we were afraid that it would break the 32.25, another 300 points down. Another 300 points down. That sounds familiar. Just saying. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme sometimes. So again, we're going to wait and see. There's no need to throw any positions, no need to buy anything here. We're waiting and seeing. We're being patient. We're using options. We're using futures to profit from this volatility. Welcome it. Welcome volatility. That's what we're here for. So again, S&P 500, 41.55. That's your 50% retrace. You break below that, there's a problem. And then we're going to go to the 200-week moving average. That's what would be my target looking forward. But if we hold above, which I expect, then again, things will be the same because it would just be a retest of that breakout. If you guys remember, 4,200, that was the bull market level from the bottom, 3502 to 4,200. That was that 20% move. This confirmed the bull market. Now we're just retesting the break and see if buyers defend. That's what we're looking for. Any chart that kind of looks like that? Anybody out there want to raise their hand, class? Anything that kind of looks similar to that, where you, the dollar yen, where you dropped, and then what happens? You push higher and you retest a very key level, the triple break, the triple top, and then what happens? Again, it's assets, it's flows, it's headlines, it's money flow, you name it. It's a ton of stuff, and that's okay. But the idea is to stay vigilant and pay attention to see what happens next. We can't just throw things out there and just hope for the best. We have to be ready. We have to have our scenarios ready. We have a bull scenario. We have a bear scenario. Now it's up to the market to see what breaks first. Let's answer some questions. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Alex. Let's take a look here. Some levels for the dollar. Good question. Dollar pulling back a bit. If we take a look at the daily, still kind of above this level here. 1, 2, 3. But again, you got the deviation. And then you have this green line here. This was your support. Broke down a couple of times. Kind of choppy on the 1 hour. Let's take a look at the daily. And again, you still need to stay below 106. 1, 2, breakout. We retested. We bounced. We just need to get to 106. That's really it. That gets you on the path to that downtrend if we get there. Let's go ahead and remove these lines. And you can see we're still above the 20-day moving average. Got to get below 106. That's a must. If we want stocks to go higher, we need to get below 106, team. Levels to add shares on Brookfield Corporation. I don't know much about them, but we're just going to go ahead and chart it on the weekly. We're below the 200-day. Tough. You also have a gap to fill here. 27.55. That looks to be the target that you're looking for, Aaron. If, again, I don't know anything about this company. I'm just looking at the charts. There is a gap to fill right there from 2020 at 27.55 on the weekly. More than likely, it's probably a level that you're probably interested in, but it's still a downward trend. You kind of want to confirm an actual uptick before you actually go ahead and buy the stock, because you want to make sure that, not that you're the first one there, you want to make sure that you're the right one there at the end of the day. So if anything, if you own shares, you're probably, selling upside calls. Maybe you're buying puts. hedging or something like that, because you are below the 200-week moving average. You're below the 20-week moving average, every moving average possible. So not looking good for Brookfield, but you can make some money if you sold some call options against it. If you bought some puts against it, there's always some hedging that you can do. It really depends on the person. If you're just a buy and hold, that's fine. If you want to add to that level on the gap fill, that's fine too. But again, we may not even get there. I don't know what Brookfield is, if that's even kind of commoditized with ETFs or anything. Does it move with the market? I don't know if it's kind of isolated. Again, that remains to be seen because I'm not sure. But in that regard, I would wait for that gap fill, sure. Morning, Carlos. Do you still DCA on Bitcoin? Yep, every week. And where do you see it in long-term 5 years? Oof, 5 years Bitcoin. I say in 5 years, easily we get back to all-time highs. 5 years. Let's see if we can figure this out. 35,717, we should break that this year. We may run out of gas to 42,140. We have an election season next year, election year. We may see some volatility. If the assumption is that we have a good cycle in terms of economic growth, inflation comes down, rates kind of subside without a recession, you're talking possibly 70,000, 80,000 on Bitcoin, possibly. And again, that's really on the dollar, and it's really on flows and speculation. If people start buying Bitcoin, Bitcoin's going to go higher. But if Bitcoin stays down and kind of chops around, doesn't get much of attention. It's only when we start popping higher that people care. So once you break 35,717, that was the level that I had on the future side. If you start breaking above it, I think that's where you start getting some interest out there from funds. Again, we talked about the ETF that's trying to get passed. And again, if they do get that ETF approved, they have to have Bitcoin. They have to buy some on that fund, which in turn boosts up the price. That's temporary. That's going to be kind of a sugar high. You'll probably break 35,717, maybe to 42,000. That's probably a level where you may want to take some profits if you've been buying here low, right around the 20,000 level from the earlier this year or something like that. Again, that's a good amount to take if you want to take some profits. Again, depending if you need the money. But if you're looking at possible peak, short-term peak within 24 months, you're probably looking at 48 or so. But again, you need a lot of things to go right. That's the assumption that, soft landing, you get people that are interested in Bitcoin again, you get some flows, you get the ETF approved. So there's a lot of moving parts. But in 5 years, yeah, 70,000, 80,000. I say 100. People may think I'm crazy. But the riskiest of the risk asset, with all this turmoil going on overseas and domestically and all that stuff, Bitcoin, the silent winner, just chugging along, chugging along. Morning, can you go over NVIDIA and Boeing? Yes. NVIDIA is still holding on right at 404 to 400. Got a huge gap to fill here at 318. So 378 is my level for that break to target that gap fill, but still holding on. The only problem I have with NVIDIA, head and shoulders on the daily. So once we break here, it starts getting very interesting below 400. I'm going to put 400 as my alert. That's what I want to make sure we break that there. Below, let's go ahead and do that. Until then, I really don't want to touch it. I played AMD, and again, you can see kind of holding on to that support and bouncing. I said NVIDIA at 400. I think that's kind of the level that buyers will defend. If you look at AMD, again, we had the 97 puts. It's still in the money, but it is for this week. We are below the 20 on the 1 hour. Let's look at the daily one more time. And it's still holding up above that 61.8 fib. This is below the 50% fib. So not a good look for AMD, as semiconductors, as we know, are very, very cyclical. It's below the 200-day. That was my target for the breakdown, and we caught it, which is good. If you're looking for more downside action, we got to break that wick of 94.55, and I would take a look at the 90s. The problem is that they report on Tuesday. So premium's going to get juiced. We know the drill, volatility. So just be careful on an AMD. We took it already. We have a runner. Let's see what goes. Let's go and take a look at Boeing as well. Boeing this morning at a key level of support right around 176.30. If that breaks, you're taking a look at the 167 level, possibly the 170s on the daily. But as of right now, you're still below the 20, you're still below the 200. You have a death cross, the 50 below the 200. So additional weakness is expected on Boeing unless we get some kind of dead cat bounce or something like that. Can't go long here until you get above 195. 195, you're staying short until you break above that. You got to break above 195 on Boeing. Again, you could see just not the easiest in the world, and I have been trading this throughout the year. Boeing does have wacky spreads, so just be careful. Let the alerts come to you. If we get this alert here right around 176.59, earnings are already out the door. So again, we will see if we can play the 170 puts. That's what I'd be leaning towards. Oh, as always, top of the morning. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being on the actual YouTube channel. So couple of things that came out today. We had a lot of earnings. We talked about that on the blog. The one that stood out to me in terms of earnings, Metaverse had a really great quarter. I think it just was sold off due to light guidance. The one that stood out to me here was Royal Caribbean. $3.85 versus $3.43, 4.16 billion in revenue. Demand for 2024 has continued to accelerate, with bookings significantly, consistently outpacing 2019 levels. And they raised their outlook. That's great. Ford already made a deal with the United Auto Workers. That's a good sign. Ford is popping 3% pre-market as of with that reading. GDP. Now here's the key. GDP reported 4.9% versus the 2.1% previous. The estimate was 4.5%. That's 400 basis point above expectations. Worst recession ever. Durable goods, 4.7% versus 1.8% expected. So good durable goods orders. People are buying stuff. Let's see here. Jobless claims up 10,000 to 210,000. The survey was 207. So again, that's a little higher than expected. Week continuing claims is up 63,000 on the unemployment claims. Core PCE, this is the actual number that the Fed looks at, 2.4% versus the 2.5%. So that's less than expected. So again, really good news all around, kind of what the doctor ordered. We need something to kind of hang our hat on, any kind of, glimmer of hope. But we will see what happens. There's so many moving parts. Any kind of headline can happen and hit you from the Middle East, or any kind of Powell headline can hit you, or Fed headline or Fed speaker. It's just the reality. It's very, very tricky out there. Let's take a look at IWM. You could see the support here at 162.76. That's the lows from last year that we did not crack as of yet. So that's what we're looking for, 162.77. If we can break it, we're at 164.18 now. If we go to the weekly, how much more can we go? Well, you can go as low as 115.139. We just need this break of 162.77, and then I will be more than happy to short this pig if needed be. But if that support holds, remember, Russell has been the weakest across the board. We need that kind of expansion of breadth. It can't be just a magnificent eight. Small caps have to be involved. Banks have to be involved. Transports have to be involved. Materials have to be involved. Utilities, we need bids, not just from the same guys. Can't carry the market that way. Just doesn't work. Let's see. Amazon reports earnings after the bell. Now this one to me is the most important earnings across the board. Microsoft was nice. Meta was a good one. Google, obviously, cloud share falling. Here we are, 119.67. That's your line in the sand. If that breaks, you're going to get to 117.03. That's your 200-day. The question is, do we hold? You also have a gap to fill above here, guys, right around 135.29. It's a roulette wheel right now, unless you have some kind of inside info, which even wouldn't even matter, because it is all about the reaction. What is Amazon going to say? How is that Prime Day? How is AWS? How are the margins? What's the forecast? The four things. I don't know if we're going to get buybacks. They don't provide a dividend. Amazon is not exactly shareholder friendly. They're very growth friendly. They're all about reinvesting their money and profits into expansion. They don't care about shareholders and want to hook us up. That's not their thing. And that's fair. Tesla's very similar. Microsoft is not. Microsoft does take care of shareholders. Google does take care of shareholders. But Amazon, again, we know what they are. They're an online retailer. They have a logistics side, which is very expensive. The drivers, the next day, Prime, all that. So again, you have to take that with a grain of salt on what you're expecting in terms as a shareholder. So far, at least it is holding above the 200-day. It is still at a golden cross, really, from May. So the question is, does it hold up? I want to see that guidance. I want to see the cloud revenue numbers. Is Microsoft taking their share? Because it took Google's. Did they say anything about AI? How are the margins? What's the forecast? That's it. That's what you're looking for. What's the next support on JPM? See it. So it's a roulette wheel, guys. I would not trade Amazon ahead of earnings. You're just asking for pain. 139.26 is my alert. That is the gap fill. I think we filled it. And if we break below, we got one more here at 128.95. And we are right below the 200 days. So JPM, the banks, we need to see them start bidding. Up about 10 cents this morning. I guess we're happy with that for now. As long as we're not limit down and the market is completely red, down 300 points, right? The NASDAQ was ugly yesterday, as we know. So the idea is the expectation. I think we get a bounce. I think we get a dead cat bounce, because I say dead cat because if Amazon, craps the bed, we're going to roll over. But if they have a great one, then the bottom might be in. I think Amazon is going to be so important until next week where we have Apple. Next week where we have AMD, right? So things change, as we know. Let's see how we do at the end of the week. I want to see that weekly close. We're going to talk about all of this stuff this weekend. All this weekend. It's going to be a great video. I really hope you guys join me. Is the bottom going to be in by this weekend? Are we going to be ready to go? Are we going to buy in the face of death like in 2022 and 2020 and all that we've been here for? Take a look at the video. October 13th, or I think it was October 15th. October 15th, 2022. Take a look at that video on our video library. I've been doing these videos now for years. So again, it's so funny. If you watch those videos over time, you could see exactly how the market moves. My demeanor changes, obviously, as an investor. But it's fun. It's fun. You could see how the progress goes. Guys, markets fundamentally don't change. Up or down, we know the drill. It changes every day. But human behavior doesn't. So people are afraid. What else is new? People were afraid last year. People were afraid in March, SVB. Spin the wheel of worry. We've been saying it all the time. Go ahead, spin that wheel. There's always something to fear. 100% agree. Sometimes the market matters. Sometimes the market cares. Sometimes the market doesn't. It is our job as traders. It's not just as simple as let's just draw some lines on the screen. It doesn't work like that. You have to decipher all of the clues that the market is giving you. It's a very simple approach. I thought about this phrase on Monday and it hasn't left me since. If it's obvious, you're too late. If you're telling me today, well, you should have shorted. Oh, thanks. Thanks, I appreciate that. It was a really great time to buy real estate was 2009. That doesn't help anybody. Come on. So again, if it's obvious, you're late. Remember that. The market is forward thinking. I'm not saying we can't go lower. Of course we can. We already drew the roadmap that we are. I don't think we will. Could I be wrong? I've been wrong before. Let's see what we get. But as you know, I'm here in front of you guys telling you, and it's not easy to go public and say, yeah, I think we're at a bottom, or this is good and this is not. It takes time. But the fact that you're here, that's what you guys want to hear. I'm with you all day. I'm going to update you every single day. I'm going to keep you guys, I'm going to make sure to answer your questions, and we'll see what we get moving forward, guys. So again, if you guys are doing great, congratulations. If you guys are struggling a little bit, that's fine. You can blame me. Use me as a punching bag. That's completely fine. This is why I'm here. This is the key. So we'll go and leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow for the next morning note. This weekend's video, make sure don't miss it. Turn on, subscribe to our channel. Hit that notifications button so you don't miss it this weekend. We got a lot to talk about. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys later. Make sure to hit that like button. Appreciate you, as always. See you tomorrow.